Today, I hope y'all are ready for a mind-blowing journey to the fourth dimension. I gotta admit, at this point, I'm kinda freaked out about what I'm gonna spill in this video. With this technique, you'll be able to pull off anything you desire. But first, it's crucial that you listen up real good to the following lessons. So here we go. You know those wise old folks whose words still echo in the sacred pages? They spilled the beans about two incredible minds, the common mind and the enlightened mind of Christ. Paul the Apostle lays it bare. The regular Joe just doesn't tune into the vibes of the divine. Why? Because to him, that's just pure craziness. Now check this out. For the common mind, past and future are like ghosts. The only real deal is the now. To this mind, the past is just a faded memory, and the future, a vague promise. It doesn't buy into the idea that you can rewind time like flipping through an old photo album, or grab the future like it's a hidden treasure. But here comes the mind of Christ, this fantastic four-dimensional wonder that sees the past, present, and future, like an epic movie in 4D. Why do you act the way you do today? Because you're a slave to your habits. They blind you to the wonders you could be living. But listen up. Habit may be powerful, but it ain't a law carved in stone. It's time to wake up the mind of Christ within you and rewrite the rules of the game. Get ready for a personal revolution. Imagine if you could dedicate a few minutes of your day to dive into a universe where your wildest dreams come true. Do that every day and boom, you'll discover a world that's like an expert-level video game where your desires are already unlocked treasures just waiting for you. Now let's take a peek at the scriptures and do a spiritual checkup. In the book of Mark, Jesus encounters this completely whacked-out guy living in a graveyard, hiding behind tombstones like they're invisible shields. Jesus says, "Get out, evil spirits." And guess what? They bounce. The guy, now with a clear mind, sits at the master's feet like a model student. Swap the name Jesus for imagination or mind of Christ, and you've got a lesson in spiritual psychology. If you're stuck in the past, you're basically dwelling in a mental graveyard. The tombstones are your biases, your superstitions, and your limiting beliefs. If you refuse to let the light in, you're as whacked out as the guy in the story. But behold the secret. Summon your four-dimensional mind to the stage and it will kick out all those ghosts haunting you. With a bit of persistence, you'll find yourself clothed in a sound mind, sitting at the feet of understanding, or rather, at the feet of the master of your own life. Marcos continues the story. Get ready, the story gets even more thrilling. Jairus, a synagogue big shot, is desperate because his daughter is on the brink of death. He rushes to Jesus and cries out, "Come save my daughter." On the way, a woman who suffered for 12 years with a medical condition touches Jesus, and bam, she's healed instantly. Jesus, sensing something powerful happened, asks, "Who touched me?" The woman confesses and Jesus says, "Your faith has healed you, go in peace." But here comes the twist. A messenger arrives and says Jairus' daughter has died. Jesus, the eternal optimist, says, "Don't be afraid, just believe." Arriving there, he clears out the curious crowd, takes the girl's hand and says, "Get up," and she gets up like she just took a nap. Now let's decode this psychologically. The Bible isn't a history book. It's a manual of cosmic self-help. The woman with the issue of blood is like you when you can't give shape to your dreams, but with faith, she stops the flow, and her desire takes shape. You can do that too. Leave the common mind behind and activate your four-dimensional Christ mind. By assuming you already are what you want to be, your dreams come to life, like Jairus' daughter. You become the woman whose faith stopped the flow and can walk toward the house of death to a state of full life. So are you ready for this transformation? Get ready for the grand finale. Cloaked in your mind of Christ, you have the power to bring your dead dreams back to life. Whether it's an ambition, a desire, or that dream you've tucked away deep in your heart, all can be resurrected. How? Through the magical touch of belief. Once you assume your desire is already real, it ceases to be a wish and becomes a pulsating reality within you. Now pay attention. Don't waste time debating whether it's possible or not. Your common mind may doubt, but your mind of Christ already knows it's more than possible. Your desire might seem dead to the world, but for you, it's just taking a nap and is about to wake up. Remember when Jesus shut the door on the crowd of skeptics? Do the same. Close the door to doubts and make room only for faith and certainty. The door is the line that separates the common mind from the mind of Christ. Cross that line, and you'll witness the miracle of the resurrection of your dreams. Now, the million-dollar question, are you living in the dead past? Or like the woman who stopped the flow of blood, do you believe that an assumed desire comes to life? Do you think you need to fulfill some past condition or get help from someone? Forget that. The only person who can judge you is yourself. So what's it gonna be? Will you keep doubting, or will you activate your mind of Christ and bring your dreams back to life? The choice is yours. Get ready to face the truth. Do you think only your religious group has the VIP ticket to salvation? Protestants, Catholics, Jews, Muslims. Everyone thinks they have the exclusive pass to paradise and that everyone else is wrong. If you believe you need to join one of these clubs to be saved, you're like the crazy guy in the graveyard, hiding behind superstitions and prejudices. Some people tell me, I understand your psychological view of the Gospels, but I need to believe that Jesus was a real man. It comforts me. And I say, get out of that graveyard of old beliefs. Your imagination is the true creative power, the Father God. What you're aware of now, even if invisible to your common mind, is the only reality for your mind of Christ. You may not see the connection between your inner thoughts and the outside world, but believe me, your world is a mirror reflecting your mind of Christ. So where do you stand? Are you the crazy man stuck in the past? Or are you resurrecting your dead dreams, assuming they're already real? Only you can answer these questions. Now let's go back to chapter 5 of the book of John, where the story continues. But before that, do a spiritual checkup and decide. Will you activate your mind of Christ and bring your dreams back to life? The choice is all yours. Get ready for a mental revelation. The ancient storytellers take us to a place called Bethesda, the House of the Five Porches, where all sorts of people with issues gather. Tradition says an angel comes and stirs the waters of the pool, and the first one in gets healed. Jesus encounters a lame man and asks, "Do you want to be healed?" And with a simple, "Rise, take up your bed and walk," the man is healed. Now let's decode this. This pool is your consciousness, and the angel is any idea you're embracing. When you become conscious of an idea, your pool is stirred, and you're healed of your desire because you can't desire what you already possess. Here's the secret. The first person to enter the stirred pool is always healed. And who is that first person? You. Your friends, your family, they all come after. Only you have the power of the first person present tense. Unless you believe you already are what you want to be, you'll remain trapped in your limitations. So we have two mental attitudes here. The common mind, living in limitation and denial, and the mind of Christ, living in assumption and fulfillment. Which one will you choose? Will you stay stuck, or will you stir the waters of your consciousness and step into the pool of fulfillment? Once again, the choice is yours. Get ready for a quantum leap in time. The story we've told so far was focused on the past, but it also points to the future. The disciples ask Jesus, "Master, what will we eat?" And he replies, "I have a kind of food you haven't even imagined. Don't say there are still 4 months until the harvest. Look now, the fields are already ripe for harvest." Here, the mind of Christ sees what is to come as something that is already happening now. Let's rewind a bit. Remember the Samaritan woman. She represents your common three-dimensional mind, while Jesus is your four-dimensional mind of Christ. She says the well of desire is deep and unreachable, but the mind of Christ says, "Let me handle this, I can reach it." Your common mind has 5 husbands, meaning the 5 senses you use all the time that limit you. But guess what? You have a 6th husband waiting to take the stage, your marvelous human imagination. This is the guy who wants to be your true husband, who wants to impregnate you with unlimited possibilities. You've always accepted the limitations of your 5 senses as the last word, but your imagination is saying, "Hey, have the courage to assume what your senses would deny." Speak to your disciplined senses and say, "You're not the only ones in charge here. I have a powerful imagination that can transform everything." So, what's it gonna be? Will you remain stuck in the limitations of your 5 senses? Or will you allow your imagination to take control and transform your life? The choice is all yours. Get ready for a story that will change your life. Imagination says, "I am the bread that came down from heaven. I am the wine. Come, celebrate with the bread of fulfillment." Now let me share a childhood story from Barbados. We were a large family, and animal food was expensive. We raised ducks and fed them fish, which was cheap. But a duck fed on fish doesn't taste like duck. Only when we changed their diet to corn and milk did they become delicious. The moral of the story, you are what you mentally feed on. Ducks had to have a consistent diet to change, and so do you. You can't meditate in the morning and be negative at night. If you want to change, your mental diet has to be constant. Think about everything that is true, honest, just pure, and of good report. Fill your mind with these thoughts, and you'll become the embodiment of them. As you think in your heart, so you are. So what's it gonna be? Will you keep feeding on negative thoughts? Or will you choose a mental diet that transforms you into the best version of yourself? The choice is yours again. Get ready for a journey through time and space now. Let me tell you how I began this incredible journey. It was in 1933 in New York, and I was studying Hebrew with my friend Abdullah. At that time, I was full of superstitions. I didn't eat meat, didn't drink, didn't smoke, and tried to live a celibate life. Abdullah told me I was being foolish, but I didn't believe him. I had left Barbados 12 years earlier and didn't want to go back as a failure. I had earned money in the theater, but I had also spent it. So when my parents came to visit me, I felt a strong urge to return to Barbados. I went to talk to Abdullah, and he said something surprising. You are already there. When you leave here, imagine that the streets are lined with coconut trees, just like in Barbados. I left his house thinking, I have no money, no job, but I'm in Barbados. 2 weeks later, still making no progress, I went back to Abdullah. I began to explain my situation and he interrupted me. With his turban and imposing presence, he stood up and said, I've said all I had to say, and he left the room, slamming the door behind him. It was the 3rd of December, and the last ship to Barbados was leaving on the 6th of December. Abdullah repeated, You are in Barbados. On the morning of the 4th of December, I found an airmail letter from Barbados. Upon opening it, a $50 check fell to the floor. It was from my brother Victor, asking me to come home for Christmas. I went to the shipping company, and they said there was only space in the 3rd class. I told Abdullah, who said, Who said you're going 3rd class? You're in Barbados, and you're going 1st class. I didn't see Abdullah again before leaving, but something incredible happened. When I arrived at the dock, the ship's agent told me there had been a cancellation, and I would be traveling 1st class. So what did we learn from this? Imagination has the power to transform your life. Abdullah taught me to stay true to an idea and not waver. I hesitated, but he never faltered in his belief that I was in Barbados and would travel 1st class. After 3 magical months in Barbados, I returned to New York transformed. I drank, smoked, did everything I hadn't done in years. Abdullah was right. After experiencing this law, you will become normal. You will come out of this graveyard where you think you are so sacred, but in reality, you are so good that you are good for nothing. Since then, I have lived in my imagination. I can't say I've always succeeded, but I continue to strive not to accept what my reason and senses dictate to me. When I am faithful to my new mental diet, I become the embodiment of the idea to which I remain true. Barbados and New York are different worlds. In Barbados, the tallest building has 3 floors, and the streets are lined with palm trees. In New York, you have to enter a park to see a tree. But I learned to walk the streets of New York feeling the atmosphere of Barbados. I stayed true to that assumption, and everything aligned. My brother paid for the trip. Someone canceled their 1st class ticket so that I could have it. All of this happened without a penny of my own money. Now I know from my own experience that imagination has a path I never dreamed existed. My larger dimensional self orchestrated everything. All I did was identify with the feeling of being in Barbados. I walked the streets of New York as if surrounded by palm trees in Barbados, and all the necessary actors appeared to play their roles perfectly. Abdullah taught me, be where you want to be. Live as if you're already there, and you will be. Now, let's connect this with biblical stories. Is the well deep, and you have no bucket? Is it 4 months to harvest? Forget that. Your Christic mind is the bread of heaven, and you have flesh you don't even know. If you delight in the idea that you are already living your desire and remain faithful to this mental diet, your desire will come true. Every human being, regardless of race, nation, or creed, has 2 worldviews, that of the natural man, who does not understand spiritual things, and that of the spiritual man who does. The spiritual man, living in a larger dimensional world, knows that everything is already a reality now. There is no need to wait 4 months for the harvest. When you free yourself from biases and superstitions, your mind heals and becomes fertile ground for your desires to flourish. The state you carry in your heart is your current goal. You can yearn for it, but if you don't assume this state as real, it will remain dead to you. Only when you fully adjust to the idea that you already possess what you desire does it come to life. Others might think your desire is dead because you stopped talking about it, but you know it's only asleep. And as you walk in your assumption, it quietly awakens. You nurture it and keep it alive by paying attention to it. The state you are in now had its beginning in your awareness of it. To keep it alive, you must be attentive to it, like a mother is attentive to her child. You can choose to see yourself as limited or unlimited. The choice is yours, but you must be mindful of what you assume. The ancient masters were well aware of these two distinct centers of thought. They showed us that the only thief in our lives is habit. While habit is not a law, it is a restrictive force that blinds us to what we can be. And now we have the grand finale. Do you want to know the secret to accelerating the manifestation process? The ancient masters gave us a deadline, 3 days. Yes, you heard it right. In 3 days, you can turn your desire into reality. How? Feast on the feeling that your desire is already a fact, in the morning, at noon, and at night. But beware, be honest with yourself. If you change your mental diet throughout the day, you are only prolonging your waiting time. Action is energy multiplied by time, and the maximum time given in the scriptures for manifestation is 3 days. So assume right now that you already are what you want to be, and stay true to it. Close your ears and eyes to anything that might deny your new reality. Think from your fulfilled desire, not about it. Before you know it, you'll be telling me about how the state that seemed dead is now vibrant and alive. You'll discover that no state is truly dead, it's just asleep within you. And with the food that only you know, you can awaken that state and it will resurface as a living reality. The purpose of all this is to remind you of the law of consciousness. You've always used this law, but now you're about to use it as a master. And so my story comes to an end. What will be the next chapter of yours? The stage is set, the curtains are open, and now the protagonist is you. Will you stand there or take action? The choice is all yours. And now, the stage is all yours. Thank you very much to everyone who watched this video so far. I wish everyone prospers in their desires and truly manifests what they want. Don't forget to leave a like to support our channel, and also subscribe to stay tuned for more videos like this. Until next time, see you in the next video.